We're about to start streaming on uh YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. I think maybe Twitch as well. I don't know. We haven't used Twitch much, but I'm still getting it set up and
Uh,
live in just a second. Hey man,
hey, did you have to pull me up yourself? It wouldn't let me pull myself up.
I saw it was like the little blurb on the bottom that just said add user. I'm just about to let me see if I can spotlight. Okay, there we go. So I'm gonna hit go live and it's connecting to YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok.
Nice.
I don't know how I know if I don't know how I know if it's working or not. I guess I could just like go on my phone and see if I'm live on Instagram. But
Yeah, you also have to join, see.
so what's your view like? You're in Northeast Texas?
I'm in, like, center still. I eventually will be in north of Dallas, Wichita Falls. Oh, there's a cotton field. That's what I'm looking at right now.
Thrilling. That's fucking awesome. So it's hard. I don't know who is all viewing right now because I'm not on TikTok or anything like that. So I can't visually see who's in the comments until I finish pairing it. We'll just finish talking about what we're talking about. So come in. This is like probably our first real broader streamed version of this. We did have one or two before, but most of our coffee hours are pretty like small if inexistent. So we're trying to grow that a bit more. Be able to get in touch with more people at once. I'm still finding a way to get your comments up. So if you guys are saying anything, then I will let you know after that fact. Probably we'll get on to your response before the end of this call. Because I'm trying to multitask here, but obviously Anthony is in here as well. He's the community manager for Ascend. So I mean, introduce yourself, say hi.
Yeah, absolutely. For watching this, appreciate your time today. My name is Anthony Parra. As Caleb mentioned, we're working together on the Ascend, and I'm the community manager, multiple communities that we're overseeing. We got our you want to check it out, we have our free networking community. Then we have a Make Money Online is the title. A lot of course content in there that Caleb and I spend a ton of time creating, editing, managing, optimizing. And the inner circle option as well is a little bit more of an advanced thing, only 70 members max. But yeah, basically what I do is and right now I'm in the car, so I apologize if I'm cutting out at all. But what I do is pretty much optimize member feedback. I just want pretty much it's kind of my area of responsibility to ensure that the user's experience inside of our platform is streamlined and makes the most sense for them, and also that any of their questions get answered in a timely manner as well. So it's really sparking engagement, stuff like that. But I'll hand it back over to you, Caleb.
Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be we'll go back and forth a bit here. But in terms of what we do here, obviously you guys join for a reason. If you're in the community, if you're not, then the purpose of Ascend basically, we want to help you. It's hard to be able to create content and not have a clear roadmap. A lot of people just kind of jump into it. They post like a video or two, and they're like, "Well, I'm just doing this to have a good time or like to just show my face online, show people that I can have fun or whatever." But a lot of people don't actually think they can build an actual business around it and be able to make money doing it and turn it from a hobby to something that can actually at some point replace their job. And it's not a lot of times just the content, but creating maybe a service or being able to teach something you love to other people and get paid for it, or having the opportunities to connect with brands and have them pay you money. These are all things that we try to teach within the community to help people do. You don't necessarily have to have 10,000 followers to get started. A lot, obviously, you're growing that over time, and even at very small amounts of followers, as long as you have good engagement, you can be getting these deals and opportunities with even a few months of work. It just really depends on the work ethic you have and how well you're able to put yourself out there. But we do teach the strategies of being able to know how to create good content, how to create a brand that actually looks good and is coherent on social media, how to optimize your bios to tell people what you do, create a funnel to get them from your bio to an end product. Maybe you have a community like us we have here on WAP for Ascend, or you have some sort of course platform that you want to walk people through videos. We obviously do both of these within our own ecosystem. So helping you guys see that or how to set that stuff up as well as implement it for yourself. And then obviously we meet on live streams like this for coffee hour where we can help you guys answer your questions, bring you guys up on stage with us and respond to any, feedback you have within the community. or questions you have about getting started on your own journey. Obviously, you could be a Fortnite coach, a basketball coach, a weight loss coach, strength and training guy. You could be a stock market trader, meme coin, enthusiast, whatever it's going to be. But as long as you have a product that you want to sell or have a service to offer the world, we can show you guys how to set that up in a way that's going to be effective. And instead of just guessing and checking until you finally figure something out. So in terms of the thesis, that's kind of it. Obviously that the vision is forming over time as well. We're going to add a lot more in the months to come. We won't talk about it all right now, but there are some things in the works. And Anthony, what specifically, I guess, what have you been doing and what is your specific personal brand about that you can talk about your journey and why you're involved with
Yeah,
this?
absolutely. Absolutely. So just as Caleb was mentioning, man, it can be anything you're interested in, or have a just above average or even honestly average. As long as you're interested in it and you have a desire to learn more, you can take people along that same journey with you as you learn. Or if you already know a lot about a subject, which would be my case, I've been in the fitness kind of community scene, and not really as like a figure, but by that I just mean that I've been a part of it, right? That I've kind of coached people along the way. Been on my own fitness journey for about 8 years now. Fitness is like the only thing that I don't find myself struggling to stick to. Like it's not difficult for me to stay disciplined. Going to the gym and trying to build up a better physique for myself. And so one day when I was talking to Caleb and thinking about it, like kind of realized that I have something going for me that a lot of people, not even just in the country but in the world, don't. And it means nothing past myself if I'm not willing to put myself out there. So my journey, and I'm not really to a point yet where we're seeing maximum potential. I mean, nearly at all, but it's definitely been a great growth opportunity for me. As we work together and as I work on building my brand. In terms of networking, well, so I'll just talk for briefly about like the purpose of networking, right? It's like a lot of the most successful people you can think of, owners of big businesses, will tell you that the answer to a lot of your questions is not how will I get this done, but who do I know that can get this done for me? Or who do I know that can show me the way or a better way to do the thing I'm currently trying to do? So the purpose of networking, before we get into that, is every person for 1,000 people that you meet and talk to, and you're polite to and you say hi and you get to know, at least one of them, if only one of them of that 1,000 ends up being somebody that you're capable of working with, or that provides some sort of value to what you have to offer as well, then it would have been worth your time to talk to those 1,000 people. So specifically in the fitness industry, if there was something as far as networking goes that I think would be valuable as a starter, find somebody that currently does what you want to do, right? So if you're really into, because the fitness industry is pretty broad, right? And this kind of applies to really any niche or industry, but it's broad in the sense that like not everybody wants to be a classic physique bodybuilder. Some people are more into like powerlifting, or some people are more into, like their cross country kind of competitions, or maybe a specific sport, basketball, football, baseball. Maybe some people just want to lose weight. Some people trying to gain weight. So there's a million routes you could take just in that one industry, right? So the first thing I'd be looking for is like who's currently doing this in the style that I the most resonate with. And so for me, it's been into, and a lot of people are, but my training style for the past 8 years has been really focused on like a power building kind of technique, where I'm not just doing strict bodybuilding stuff just for size and hypertrophy, but I also really enjoy lifting, pushing myself to the physical extent I can go, like as far as weight goes. So I do some powerlifting stuff, but that might just be unique to a subset of the industry, that is fitness. So as a beginner, what I wish I would have done sooner is, find someone that does that same thing. Find someone that's into bodybuilding or that has a following around that, but also is not really afraid to do some other functional fitness stuff and pushes a drive more towards, hey, you just need to be a fit person in general for better use of yourself in society, right? Or for your family, or even just for your own good, as opposed to, these people that are kind of just hopping on and trying to sell a program to get you ripped in 20 days. Because I spent a lot of time following those kind of people. But what for someone that's similar to what I'm trying to offer, which is being overall well-rounded through training of, through weight training and cardio and other things implemented, I feel like that would have boosted my growth earlier on.
Yeah, you ever seen that video of like the mother that like she's overweight and like there's a baby stroller and it, like takes off running down a hill and she's like falling over herself trying to like go grab it. Like I don't
Yeah.
like it's like a lot of times people don't, especially with fitness, you take it for granted, especially being younger and you kind of slip into habits. I actually just read this guy was going over research. It was more of like a video, but he was discussing how they did a study on metabolism and from the time you're a kid, most people think it slows down like in your mid to late 20s, but actually until you're about 55 to 60, your metabolism is about the same rate your whole life. It's just as much as people don't like hearing it, it's your lifestyle that's changing. And like your metabolism will decline at the very end of your life for those last probably 15, 20 years. But most of your life it's gonna be about the same rate. And so you have to understand that you could excuse it as different things, but at the end of the day, you're just not being as active as you were once. And being able to understand that it's okay if those habits slip. We need to take accountability and get ourselves in a position where we can go fix that. Is what I think is gonna make you a better version of yourself. Being able to admit, hey, I do need help and I need opportunities to get back into those active ways of when I was younger. I think people like you are very much needed because of that.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it's like I said, people conflate the fitness industry to just mean like all the gym bros that are flexing on, for bunch of 14-year-old kids dancing in front of the mirrors in gyms and stuff like that. And that's a subsect for sure. And some people are into that. And everybody has their own right. But I think it's important to. And I'm just making this connection because it's applicable to really every niche in industry. But there's certain it's deeper than that. There's other ways you can market what you actually are about instead of just trying to be a quick upsell for something that you just want to make money off of. That's it's kind of what we're doing here, right? Is that we've noticed that there is hey, there's this other path compared to like the traditional. Let's just put ourselves in a ton of debt to go into this degree and then not be able to use it. There's other paths we could take to make a living for ourselves, and this is one, right? It's just a lot of ways to get it done.
Who do you so in terms of let's get into the style side of it because I think a lot of people think, well, I've never sat in front of a camera or put myself out there like this. I don't know how to edit videos with all these like on-screen graphics and effects and things like that. And obviously, there are some people that, and especially in some niches more than others, like you're used to seeing a Mr. Beast video where it's very high, it's visually, stimulating, kind of like a dopamine rush type of video. But you also get someone like a Sam Sulek who's just sitting in his car with a camera and it like almost exactly what you're doing right now, talking, and it doesn't have to be much. Um, do you think that there's some sort of misperception that you have to have all this equipment and technology to be able to put your face out there?
Equipment, technology, and even down to like skills and understanding of certain subjects like editing, like you were mentioning. Yeah, I mean that's so. I'll give you I'll make an example of myself again. But growing up, I was a kid that like I hated having my picture taken. I hated when my mom would try and take pictures. I hated being in videos. Growing up, I never understood why like I didn't even have social media until I was like like 17. Because I never understood why people have this obsession about just having their face out there like that. It's like you're really not my kind of thing. But once you understand that, like, it really doesn't take like, so it's true that the more time and money you spend into like getting a nice looking product out, as far as, a YouTube video or like an Instagram reel or something like that, if you're spending a lot of time and money like the pros do, or like the big names do rather, yeah, you're most likely going to get a better outcome out of that. But like you mentioned, Sam Sulek, for those that don't know who Sam Sulek is, he actually just won his pro card in IFBB Pro bodybuilding. Second show ever, pretty sweet. But his content style, but what he offers is, one, he's very down to earth. And then two, he's just giving free knowledge for like 40 like he'll just be in the car for like 30 minutes of the video, and then like 10 minutes is him actually lifting, and he'll talk about what he's doing. He'll go through it and like certain cues that he tries to think of as he's going through his workout, and then he'll talk for like 10 more minutes after, and that's it. And he has like I don't even know how many followers he has, like millions of followers. He's getting like tens of millions of views per day, or per video rather. And he doesn't do that. He's not spending a ton of money on technology and the better camera systems, and all he really has, I'm pretty sure, is just his phone. I mean, he might have upgraded now that he's making some more money off of it, but his phone, he started out with just a phone, one of those like suction cup, things to hold your phone in the car, and that's like 70% of his videos, just him in the car. So it really comes down to like, it's not necessarily about whether or not you're an expert in the subject. You're an expert in editing or content creation or filming, or you know how to act on camera or anything like that. It's more about like, you just need to offer something that a lot of people would be interested in understanding further. So that'd be my 2 cents on that.
That's great. That's amazing. Well, before I comment on that, let me see. I'm starting to get some comments. Someone said, "What do you think of the new Fortnite season?" So,
Dude, Fortnite season. Big fan. Fortnite's actually the only game I play because it's free. So
um, but so in terms of advice and that and how you give it, yeah, I think it's very easy, and I think we do this in real life too. You can tell who's like at your work or at school or whatever is being fake versus being their genuine self. There's a lot of people think, psychology is hard and all that, but if you don't have to think that hard to realize who's, BSing their way through life and who's actually being, real about how it is. And so, I mean, we kind of judge, obviously, like you could talk to somebody for a minute and be able to tell, okay, is this guy just trying to impress me or is he actually just somebody that's, stuck to the way he is and I can respect that. But so if you can give that image online, and I think it's really hard because there's this comparison status, a standard of like this guy has the Lambo and I don't, so I have to compensate by like being an expert or like being more show offy or like finding some way to make me as good as the guy that has the Lamborghini. But that's not how it works. And actually, a lot of people would value the person without the Lambo talking to them because they know that you're closer to their level of performance than the guy with the Lambo. So the advice you're giving at that stage is actually closer to more realistic advice that they can take versus some guy that's all the way at the top talking down at you, telling you this is what you have to do. And this might have worked for me 6 years ago, but if you do it, it might work. The system might have changed. If somebody wants to know that you're like they have other people going through the same shit that they are and being able to, I think in the military too, like go that basic training kind of effect of like these people are doing it with me. So I know that like I can respect what they have to say and basically their thoughts because they have a shared experience as me. I think that is a very strong thing that we attach to as people. I don't know. Did that? I mean, you went through basic training too. I kind of want to hear your thoughts on that.
yeah, absolutely. I love what you just brought up about it being closer in skill set to, or at least an experience or knowledge or any, any of those facets to the person who's actually trying to get to receive the end product. It's more about, like people will value being able to take the next step as much as they value getting to the end goal. It's in a lot of cases, in my opinion, because like, you don't disappear at the end goal one day. It takes time. And I think while a lot of people don't understand that as far as like, in fitness, I'll make an example of, they want abs in like 10 days or they want the 30-minute ab video because they have a pool party coming up. So there's always those kind of people. But I think for the most part, people understand like things take time. So if you can just bring them to the next step or 5 steps closer, that's extremely valuable. So I'm not sure if I think that might have been a tangent from the original question. You want to ask that question again so I could be reminded?
Well, I just want to know your experience with like again. So like I think basic training was a good example of that, but being able to be in situations where I mean, it doesn't even have to be. You're not like it's not like you're storming the beaches of Normandy every day with people, and you don't have to. The bond doesn't have to be that strong, but in a lot of cases, no matter what you're going through, you could just be waiting in the same line at Subway as someone else, and it's taking really long. But like a shared experience with someone else is naturally going to make them more inclined to listen to you and like to try to understand what you're saying because they know that you actually get them. Is that like?
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this kind of ties in a way back to what I was saying earlier about you don't even necessarily have to have an extreme set of knowledge about anything or even be above average in knowledge. As long as you're interested in something and you are actively pursuing it, there's a lot of people in this world that are just looking to be led. They don't really know where to start for themselves or how to continue once they started something. And so, just like the analogy you're making about basic training, where yeah, I would 100% agree. Like some of the people I went through basic training with are like my best friends for life, right? They were part of my wedding lineup. So that they'll probably be there for some of my kids being raised, stuff like that. And but it's not like they knew any more about being in basic training than I did. It was just more like we're sharing this experience together and we're bouncing ideas off each other about how to do things more efficiently. Or, we're getting torn up for this mistake we made. It's like, well, this one guy has a solution. Let's all listen to him. And so it's kind of the same way. Not to the extent that like you have no passion or knowledge further than what your potential clients do. But as long as you start with a passion or interest, people will love to go alongside you, just to take whatever advice they can from someone who is seemingly getting results, right? But the thing is though that none of that gets documented unless you're willing to put yourself out there. In the same boat I was in up until recently about filming content and stuff like that. So by no means, like if you took a look at some of my content, you by no means think that I was some professional. But it is who I am, right? I'm the guy that's
It's cutting out a little bit. Me.
hey, hey, tell them I don't pay what I know to be the Messiah. You know,
Now we got you.
am I completely out or no? Yeah, I was just saying it's more about being giving what you have to offer and being yourself.
Yeah,
You don't want to be fake.
it's a balance too, and like in some ways, obviously, everyone wants to look good. Everyone wants to, and you need some sort of credibility, right? You have to have something to like somebody. You have to sell the lifestyle in some ways, and I get that. But it has to be. And again, I kind of just made a video on this a little while ago, but you have to balance influence with credibility, but you can't just have kind of one or the other. Influence is essentially let's start with credibility is like the Lambo or like all the screenshots, the testimonials, all those like hard evidence things that you can put in your Instagram highlights or your community review page or whatever it's going to be to get people to see that you actually know what you're doing. And that's obviously that's probably the best way to start because you need something to go off of. But you also it's one of the hardest things to build because when you're starting, you can't really collect feedback unless you're just going out and giving your stuff away for free, which not all of you have the time or resources to do. But if you do, that's probably one of the best ways to kickstart your success and just go help people with your service for free and say, pay me later, or just give me a good testimonial. And that way you can build that up. But then the other side of it is all influence and it's all being able to be a good salesman. Like I think of like Ty Lopez when I think of influence. He doesn't necessarily like he does have credibility now, but when he's just starting, he's just saying, I'm just I just care about, knowledge and these are the systems that really make everything work. And he's trying to explain like how the person he is has made him successful versus just showing you all these things. Although obviously we know the here in my garage video and he's showing his Lamborghini, he does a really great job of balancing both sides, but he cares a lot about like the perception other people have of him and he positions himself in ways that make him look very influential and dominant in his space. So being able to have a fine mixture of both is really what makes you successful. But one or the other, I don't think in the long run is gonna help everybody. So like when you said, yes, be influential and show people that you understand them and you can get where they're coming from and give them actionable good advice. But then also you need some credibility aspect as well. Again, something in our community we focus on teaching and we're gonna have more content on is how to do things like that. If you're on the WAP platform, which we also use, or Discord, there's a lot of ways you can express your credibility. Just honestly having the Instagram highlight reel page as you start getting testimonials in and you eventually start getting good comments or reviews on your service, that's a great way to do it. But having some sort of at least system so that someone can do that mental check in their head. A lot of it times it's subconscious. To be able to say this guy knows what he's doing and he also seems like somebody I'd want to learn from is I think the subconscious process we go through before we hit that checkout button. And obviously we care about that a lot. You can see in our community how we have reviews on our homepage to get that credibility factor, but then also we're out here promoting it, doing live streams like this to the public so you guys can see if we're even someone you want to learn from to begin with. And it's like it's a balanced approach. I mean, do you think if you had to start with one, which one do you think you would start with? More influence or more credibility?
I think that you could probably make an argument for either, and a lot of people would probably be split on it. But I would say credibility. So like, I'll give you an example. Have you ever heard of Squat University? It's a account on Instagram and YouTube. Yes, yeah, he's a crew like yeah. Pull that one up. So I don't remember the guy's actual name, but what he does, all he does now, now that he has a ton of followers, like million, I don't know if it's hundreds of thousands or a million yet, but he has a lot of followers. But all he does now is like he'll just duet like a clip of somebody doing something extraordinary, like playing volleyball really well or doing some crazy lift on a powerlifting meet, or maybe he'll post somebody like getting injured, and then he'll just pair it with him being like, yeah, so this is actually the muscle group required to achieve this movement properly. And then here's a video of my patient who came in with issues doing this. Here's how I fixed him. So I think he's a physical therapist, but he's extremely knowledgeable in his craft. And I think it started with him. Oh, I think he has his own physical therapy. You know, I don't even like building, I guess, or he in his. You can just look up his videos. I think Caleb's pulling it up. He has like this super elaborate, like he has got like resistance bands. It looks like a gym inside, but he just has clients and he'll just have them in there doing exercises to help them with their hips or joints or knees or really or any muscle or anything that's causing them problems. And then he'll just post before and after videos of amazing differences in range of motion. Yeah, that's the guy right there. So I started,
We got 3.8 million followers. So
yeah, 3.8, and that's been growing a lot recently. So he started out like just being specialized in like gym movements, like the squat, like Squat University, obviously teaching people how to squat better. But now he's a licensed physical therapist to just build his credibility first, and then he gained a massive following because he's clearly helping people become better versions of themselves. And so you take somebody like that, and I don't really know, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that just started out with a ton of influence and is now selling stuff. But uh, I'm a bigger fan of that because I think it sets a foundation that's more long lasting.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And it looks like his main credibility. He's obviously got his own shoe. He's got books. He's clearly found a way to take. Most people would start this account and be like, "Well, I'm just teaching people how to squat better. Like, how could I ever make money on this?" And you can see this guy's again. He's teaching people. He's got his own product-based business. Probably an ebook right here. Is probably like a digital book on Amazon or something like that that's published. He's got a bunch of different links to different things you can try, and basically he's still found a way to, he doesn't have to coach people and give up his time. These are all like passive income products, and I'm sure he's getting a lot of promos as well. He's actually, I think, in this video promoting his own shoe that he developed. So literally just being able to build a business out of it in whatever way he thought was going to be best. So he probably loves, having his own product or book to talk about. And, he could have started his own YouTube channel or done whatever he wanted to, but this was the option he thought was going to make him the most happy. And he's clearly doing quite well because of it. But it doesn't have to just be like the standard route. I think most times, like you just start the YouTube channel, or you start a YouTube, or you just hop on like a basic podcast or whatever it's going to be. You can also get into, product based, service business, or get into maybe just doing collaborations with other brands, whatever it's going to be. But whatever you want to do to make money, like as long as you have an influence, which this guy has almost 4 million followers, the options are almost endless. And again, he chose to make his own shoe and make his own book, but he could have also just as easily chosen to have an email in his bio and people can reach out to him, and he charges $500 a video and makes 5 to 10 grand a month pretty easily just from a few shout outs on his stories and things like that. But basically what I'm saying is, when you get to that level of influence and you are consistent enough that you establish yourself as a credible person in the sphere, which is what we're trying to do with Ascend a bit more and get people to know our names, then we get access to opportunities, and we're going to get access to guest speakers, things like that, to help you guys learn just as much as we're teaching you, and get access to investment opportunities, more resources to provide back to your followers, and just being able to reinforce that message of I'm doubling down on what I'm good at, and instead of doing kind of, I think what I see a lot more nowadays of people get famous and then they try to do something that's completely unrelated to their business. I see like Logan Paul or Jake Paul, right? They're like, we get famous breaking plates on YouTube and then we're gonna go box. Which sure, their name is big enough that like people watch them for entertainment anyway. But if they were teaching something, or like more of like an educator, and they just saw someone go from like plate smashing to WWE, then it would get a little bit hard to follow that brand. But that's just, I think it works for them because they're in the entertainment space. But you can't, like, switching up initially would be very difficult until you become someone of influence. And so just picking the one thing for now, like Anthony has chosen fitness and training with it. to get really good at that one thing, become known for it. You know, he could have 4 or 5 million followers or subs on YouTube in a year or two from now, and he could use that then to go start a physical training academy or whatever, like a physical building out in Los Angeles where he works with people or whatever it's going to be. But then at that point, people already know him and come to him, and it's exponentially easier. So again, I love preaching this to people because they're like, I don't know what I want to do. Then I'm like, well, pick the one thing you're good at, start an account at it, and just start getting people to know your name. Social media is free networking with reels and YouTube shorts. Back in the day, you had to pay a brand to shout you out or to get external views on your Instagram. Now the algorithm just shows your stuff to the world. And we're living at a time right now where anybody can then blow up because of that if they're consistent enough. But that never really existed before now. And then you can figure out what you want to do after the fact and make that like a side portion of your business and try a bunch of things, but keeping keeping the door open with a consistent brand image to start and making yourself known is like what you said. Credibility has to, in some ways, come first. On the other side of it, though, you have influence. And again, if you only started from influence, I can't necessarily think of somebody to pull up on my end right now that would be the example of that. I kind of mentioned like a Tai Lopez, just trying to use creative terms to sell stuff. But basically, when you get to the extreme of either, then if you're just credible, imagine like Jordan Peterson before he was famous. Like, imagine his friends calling him like a nut job and stuff. This guy is like so advanced in knowledge, I can't even understand what he's saying. But nowadays, he's Jordan Peterson. Everyone's going to listen to him. But before, he was just like this crazy whack job doctor that would speak in these crazy deep terms that nobody could understand. And they're like, why would we listen to this guy? He's like, he's way too deep about shit. But it was only when he built the influence too that now he's this like mastermind behind multiple different books he has, does a lot of guest speaking, all this crazy stuff because he managed both. But again, if you just focused on the credibility side, you would have problems being able to build a truly engaged audience. But he's figured out a way to do that. I mean, what do you think about what do you if you think do you think it'd be harder if you only had credibility or only had influence, and you built your entire brand around that? Which one do you think would be harder to focus on later? Like getting really like being only credible and having to get good at influence, or being only influential and having to figure out your credibility?
Yeah, I think the harder one to manage would be starting out with a lot of influence. It's like maybe one I could think of would be like Danny Duncan, maybe. Started off making these just funny YouTube videos and like people love it. And I used to watch them all the time too. It's funny stuff, right? And so he built a large influence that way. But it's like at a certain point, like it's like, okay, either people get tired of the content or the content changes because you feel a need to start switching up the way you present yourself, or some like down the line, like you can't do that forever. Which I guess because because we're human and we age, we can't do anything forever. But I'm just thinking like, what do you do once that becomes something your followers aren't that interested in, or the times change and it's like now people are interested in this other niche or something like that. And then you're left with whatever you're good at to like sell because the influence is kind of diminished. That's not to say that everybody will experience that, but it's like I could see that being more prevalent than someone who is substantially like just well, not substantially, objectively really good at one thing or a subset of things and can sell a way for other people to get to their level. Because nobody can really take that away from you.
So let me offer the counter argument. So I guess I don't know if it even is a counter argument, but I guess it would just be thinking of it the other way. I'm not taking the other side. I'm just saying that like let's say you had let's start with the fact that if you built credibility later, you would have to start with influence. Influence, I think, is a lot easier when you're more relatable to people, as we talked about. And so therefore, when you're in your early to mid 20s, right, and you're smashing dishes or you're like speeding in your sports car and all that, that's going to be attractive to people your age, but it might not be attractive to like a 35 or 40-year-old. So like it depends on your niche a lot too, because obviously going back and having to build credibility later, I mean, you can do that because you were influential and you had all these followers and technicals like this, but at the same time too, like you also have to change your content a bit because uh it's more related to a specific age group. Because again, like credibility can last whether you're 15 all the way to 55. If you built a $10 million business when you were 15, when you were 55, it's going to be just as credible. The same fact that you built your business when you were 15. But if you were smashing dishes and you have a million followers when you're 25, there's no guarantee that that's also going to be working for you when you're 35 or 40. So you have to be able to figure that out as well, how to stay in the game as long as you can. I'm not gonna lie, I respect the people too that, you know, a lot of people have their moment of fame or their moment in the sun and then they kind of fade away. Like Andrew Tate someday in 5 years or whatever isn't really gonna exist as much as he is, I don't think. And obviously like a year or two ago, he was way bigger. But every single star like that will somehow pull themselves back from the spotlight for a bit. And I think it's very respectable to understand that it is a phase. And when you do get your moment of fame, you don't necessarily always want it to carry on forever because you see like celebrities and how much they're constantly being harassed by media and by paparazzi and all these crazy fans. And it doesn't really give them time to focus back on their business. They become so obsessed with being influential and being in the spotlight that, you know, you see like Kanye hasn't been able to produce the same type of music he could 15 years ago because he's so caught up in media stuff right now and posting on Twitter that he can't go back to making his albums like he was as banger as they were, you know, 15 years ago. That was the old Kanye. That was the goated version of him, right? That it was just making the name for himself. And so you kind of need a balance. I don't think even he wants to be as much in the spotlight as he is. I think Texas, the Texas internet is getting to you. I think the plain Wi-Fi driving through the vast, desolate Texas sand.
Wait, nothing but the
Try turning your camera off. That'll probably make it load better. I think video and mic sometimes gets hard to connect. So, but if you're just on the audio for now, I think it might be better. Sorry, and if you guys this is your first live stream here, Anthony's usually not driving across the country for most of our calls. It's just he has a big event today that he has to get to across Texas, so he's been driving this morning, and he was even driving on we have a meeting before this he was driving on. If you guys are running a community, I would recommend if you have a weekly call like this, really just have check-ins with your managers and your teammates like we do every weekend, or we do one in the middle of the week as well. But just get updates and spend some time figuring stuff out. Even if again your schedules aren't aligned when you're just trying to break into the space, just find a time that works for you guys and get caught up to speed with everything. And obviously, Anthony, when we were calling, was already starting to drive, and it's usually most weekends we're able to meet at the same time. But obviously, he still finds a way to make it happen. And when you have a good team like that of people that are helping you in your community, it gets very easy to help each other out and to really have each other's back. And obviously, Anthony's been around for a while in the community, and you kind of, if you want to have a good community manager and not just do everything yourself, find somebody that you can truly trust. You know, I don't always agree with Anthony on everything, or we're not always like completely in sync. We have different ideas, but that's also what makes our community run a lot better and higher function. So, I mean, whatever stage you're at with your development, if you're building out your WAP community or your coaching platform, or whatever, anybody you get involved with, make sure that you guys are going to be there for each other, and you can count on each other showing up for events like this, because it is going to be very important when you get started. I think he's actually probably restarting his WAP or trying to find internet. He might just be off the call until he gets back in a better zone. So we probably won't be streaming much longer. This was the first multi-platform stream we had. And it's also going to be visible on YouTube after this. We're going to start a little playlist of videos for live streams just once every week, and be able to have you guys kind of see what we talked about if you guys missed it after the fact. Usually it's going to be about this hour mark. You can see it's about 55 minutes right now, and it'll be cut down to within 60 minutes almost every time, so you guys can catch up on it when you're on the treadmill or you're driving somewhere, or whenever you have that free time, just to get kind of an update on some new lessons and insights that you can't get all the time. But again, I do want to plug it with these last couple minutes the community. Obviously, you guys are watching the stream. I'm going to face the camera now. You guys can see the screen is not just me, but you have all the things around here. This is actually the WAP platform that we're on. If you go ahead in whatever platform you're watching this on, you're in WAP already, thank you for being here. But if you're on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, go ahead to my bio and click on that link in there and you can join for free. Meet me and even hop within the call one of these next lessons and let us know what you guys are thinking. And we can engage directly with you. You can hop in the lounge chat or the networking chat and meet other people that have the same mission as you. And like we talked about at the beginning of this call, having that close knit bond with other people that are on the same mission as you is going to be a huge difference maker in whether you make it or not in this space. And so why not have every advantage you can, especially if this one is free? Then on top of that, obviously we have like more paid premium services like full course walkthroughs of how to set up everything, set up your funnel, set up your coaching, set up your course community, how to implement your high ticket services, all that stuff is in our more advanced communities, as well as the inner circle and agency where we do everything for you and you get to meet with me directly. With that said, I think we're going to wrap this up. Feel free to check out the link in my bio, and I will see you guys on my YouTube with regular videos. We got one coming out soon, but also as well in the lounge chat. As you can see here, we're active all the time and we're promoting what we do. I really care that you guys find a way to be successful and you find your niche or something that you're happy doing and you can find a way to express that online. Even if it's 30 minutes a day to an hour maximum, you can spend. Find a way to just take little chips at that influence and post a video a week or every 2 weeks if you have to, but slowly find a way to carve out what you do and your identity online. It's going to be a journey for anyone just getting started on this, and that's what we're here to help you with. With that said, I think we'll end it here. Thank you. Subscribe if you can, and I'll see you in the next one.